I think when people think about story as it relates to a product or service, they sometimes think about brand, and that may be just a loose collection of like symbols or a commercial that they saw once that had like a bear in it or something. And they may think of that as the sort of story of the brand. I can tell that's not where you guys are at. How do you convince them that story is not branding and that story is more important and bigger than that?
Yeah, I think story fundamentally is a strategic function. So, at the core of everything we do for our clients is a strategic narrative, which is a type of story that I think fundamentally captures the defined viewpoint that sits at the center of a brand and uses that to help the market understand why the status quo is no longer tenable. Most deals are not lost to competitors, they're lost to people doing nothing. They either stick with their current provider, they just don't buy anything at all. They tolerate the pain. And so I think a good story, before it even makes a case for your company and why you're great, has got to convince people that they have to make a change from what they're doing today. So the way that a strategic narrative does that is it asserts for the brand a really clear, defined viewpoint about some kind of change that's happening in the world. What that does is it creates a clear sense of like an old way of doing things, which is that status quo I referenced, and a new way that the brand believes is going to be important going forward. And that tension between the old world and the new world is fundamentally what sets up the state of change in the story. If you've got a defined viewpoint like that as a brand, everything that you're going to develop and bring to market is going to be around supporting and solving for that defined viewpoint. It's going to build out a lot of your cultural frameworks, attracting people who believe what you believe as a company, people who want to advance that in the same way. It's going to help you figure out who your partners ought to be. There's a lot of sort of downstream impacts that I think flow out of having that kind of defined view of the world.